Welcome to the Gen CEO Playbook podcast, where we break down Gen Z founders' frameworks into ones that you can use today to build your own startup. I'm Rayan, and today we're turning the story of Alexander Wang, an MIT dropout, Scale AI founder, and Meta AI's weapon, into a playbook that you can steal today. By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with 3 frameworks from Alex's journey: how to survive that -1 phase during your startup, how to use anxiety and irrational self-belief without burning out, and how to place your startup on an AI power map, like US versus China versus big tech, all without getting crushed. And there's a bigger question underneath all of this. If AI is a war that America must win, then Gen Z founders are not the audience, but we're the foot soldiers in a race we never even voted for. So let's build that playbook. Before Scale AI was a multi-billion-dollar company, Alex was stuck in what he calls the squiggle. He's in YC surrounded by brilliant people, and he doesn't even know what he wants to start building yet. He has a Google Doc full of startup ideas. He's reading Paul Graham's How to Get Startup Ideas, while applying the advice, live in the future and build backwards. At some point, he has this realization that in the future, companies will orchestrate human compute, people doing microtasks just as easily as they call an API. But that API doesn't exist yet, so he decides to build it. He buys scaleai.com, launches on a product hunt, gets a little traction, and then enters a long wandering period. A few customers, lots of uncertainty, and Alex personally DMs anyone on the website. From the outside, this phase looks like the genius founder grinding, but from the inside, it feels like maybe the startup is already dead. I just won't find out for the next 5 years. And as a Gen Z founder, that's the part no one really glamorized. You're constantly asking yourself, am I wrong or am I early? And we all love the myth of that genius dropout, but we rarely talk about the pile of failed ideas and mental health hits behind that myth. And honestly, I'm not sure if I want every 16-year-old to follow that path. Here's how to turn Alex's -1 phase into a simple framework. Step 1, the future snapshot. Write a 1-page doc about what you believe the world will look like in the next few years. Be specific and make sure there's no fluff. Step 2, create a problem doc. Start a doc of the concrete problems that the world creates and make sure to update it weekly. Step 3, the human loop. Talk to 5 to 10 people about these problems every week through Discord, DM, calls, anything works. The -1 phase isn't being lost, it's a structured wandering period. You're allowed to be confused, but you're not allowed to stay still. And if your founder journey is just you alone, doom scrolling YC demo day, and rewriting your Notion doc every night, you're not in your -1 phase yet, you're just suffering. Alex describes YC like the Hunger Games. Most companies are already dead, but they just don't know it yet. And that thought could destroy you, or you could use it to move farther. Alex chooses the second option. He channels all his anxiety into action. More customer conversations, more product experiments, and more grinding on problems that don't look glamorous. He also talks about irrational self-belief. Watching companies like Palantir, he notices how they show up to big government customers with blustery confidence, acting as if their software is God's greatest gift to Earth. The lesson he portrays here is brutal. If you're the rational, quiet kid, you may never get picked. You need enough irrational belief to say, we will be better, long before the data can prove it. And at the same time, Scale is not building a sexy social app. They're solving unsexy operational problems, coordinating hundreds of thousands of people to label data at scale. Alex treats that like a math Olympiad, breaking the bigger, messy problems into smaller ones, applying creativity, and caring more about the details than anyone. We tell Gen Z founders, you must be irrational to win, but we rarely teach them how to turn that delusion off at night. And that's how you burn out your best operators by 22. Here's a confidence operating system inspired by Alex. Public mode. Talk as if your product will become the best in your narrow niche. Not we hope, but we're building the best X for Y. Private mode. Keep a running list of everything that's broken. Sales, product, team. Review it weekly with no excuses. The weekly Unsexy challenge. Every week, pick one boring piece of your business and fix it properly. Onboarding, error rates, whatever. Just choose something to fix. Confidence OS is not about lying to yourself, it's about projecting that belief outwards while staying brutally honest inwards. Now let's zoom out from that one founder view to the map your startup lives on. On CNBC, Alex literally uses the phrase AI war between US and China and says America must win the AI war, backed by a full-page ad in the Washington Post. He helps launch humanity's last exam, a benchmark where top professors design extremely hard questions for AI models. No model scores above 10%. 1%. But a Chinese lab, DeepSeek, performs roughly on par with the best US models on reasoning. Alex claims DeepSeek has around 50,000 NVIDIA A100 GPUs, despite US export controls meant to block that. So while politicians talk about restrictions, labs quietly accumulate compute. And on top of that, Alex says that the market for AI models could go from tens of billions to almost $1 trillion if we hit systems that use computers the same way humans do. Then enters Meta. Around 2025, Meta makes a $14+ billion deal involving Scale AI, which brings Alex in as a top AI leader, and sets up Superintelligence Labs to push open its Llama 3.x and 3.1 models toward frontier performance. Scale now becomes a launch partner for Llama 3.1 in the enterprise world, providing data and evaluation. Alex is no longer a neutral infrastructure guy. He becomes, in effect, Meta AI's weapon in a race against OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, and Chinese labs. We say AI war to sound serious, but if we treat superintelligence like an arms race, we might win the war, but still lose to something bigger, like trust, safety, or democracy. And Meta hiring young founders to push superintelligence is either the smartest bet in the world, or proof that big tech still thinks it's Gen Z's job to grow entertainment at any cost. As a Gen Z founder, you don't control 50,000 GPUs, but you do control your position on the map. So ask yourself, what's your stack choice? Are you building an open source, closed API, or a mix? And what is your geopolitical and pricing risks of either choice? What's your regulation assumption? Are you acting like regulation is coming and designing for it, or assuming that no one will ever check? And what's your region focus? Are you building primarily for the US, global, or a specific region with different AI norms? If you treat AI like a weapons race in your pitch deck, then don't be surprised when your regulators treat you like a weapons dealer instead of a startup founder. Alright, let's pull these frameworks into 3 concrete moves that you can take from Alex's journey. Move 1. The unsexy arbitrage. Look for boring problems in hot markets. Alex chose labeling and evaluation in AI, a space everyone needed but very few wanted to own, and created Scale AI. So ask, in my niche, what feels boring for founders, but is absolutely critical for customers? Move 2. Anxiety is a KPI. Alex channeled his inner YC anxiety into conversations and product changes, not into endless comparison. So try this for a month. Track when anxiety leads to action. Email sent, prototypes delivered, and users interviewed, versus scrolling on social media. If most of your anxiety ends up on social media, you don't have a startup problem, you have an OS problem. And move 3. Perception versus reality. Alex points out that in companies and government, perception is often more real than reality. And that doesn't mean lying, it means narrative really matters. Your product has to work, but your deck, your story, your framing, your demo, all determine whether anyone stays long enough to actually see your product. So if your startup only optimizes for speed and hype, and never responsibility, you're not building a company, you're building tomorrow's apology video. So who is Alexander Wang in the Gen CEO playbook? He's not a hero or a villain. He's a case study, a young founder who channeled his inner YC anxiety and unsexy problems into a company at the center of the AI's arms race, and then joined Meta to chase superintelligence while warning others about AI's risks. So the playbook for us is simple. Steal the systems that work, -1 structure, confidence OS, and the unsexy arbitrage. Questions the arms race mindset that turns AI into pure war, and build companies your future self isn't ashamed of. And if you want more breakdowns like this with real founders, real frameworks, and no fluff, subscribe to the Gen CEO Playbook podcast on YouTube and wherever else you listen. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe. It's free, it helps out a ton, and you join us on the journey for responsible innovation.